Hey Leo, welcome to Tourmaline Tarot. We're going to do your July read. I'm a little late because of the holiday and so much family togetherness. So, we're back on track. Yes, I prefer this. So, here we go. July for Leo. I'm going to give it a couple more. There we go. I'm going to do a little bit of a bigger spread. I'm not going to take reversals just because when I do readings, I do like a weird wrist flip when I pull the cards. So, let's see. Let's see. That is the Hanged Man, so he stays that way, which is nice. So, you have some, I'm not going to say tough decisions, but there is some kind of element where if anything that you're ignoring is going to kind of start screaming at you soon. Any decisions that have been kind of put off or like, well, I'll get to it. Or if something has started quickly and then it's slowed down, you're going to have to kind of take a look at how we're going to jumpstart it. Get it going again, get it moving. You could have had to have taken a pause to just kind of figure some stuff out, or you just need a hot second. That happens where you're like, this is great, but like I need to kind of figure things out, take a breather, but you're kind of being asked to get back in it. Because I'm going to look at the corners here. That's what's calling to me. So we have the Chariot, King of Cups, Hanged Man, Three of Swords. So something was kind of like moving and grooving, and then it was not necessarily the brakes were put on it, but there was an element of maybe not feeling like it was fulfilling or the right thing for you. And you could have enjoyed what you were doing, on some level, and enjoyed where it was going, but you also know it's not the right fit. And Three of Swords doesn't have to be like this giant heartbreak thing. There's an element of clarity that comes with it where you're like, there's just, it's like kind of like you get the truth of the situation, and that can be what hurts sometimes too. So if you've put a lot of effort into something and you had to reconfigure it or put a pause on it, or like put a pin and be like, I'll come back to this when I have time or the ability or something about it, you could be in your feels about it. So maybe there's apprehension a little bit about getting back into it, because if you're like, well, I tried that and it didn't work, so why am I going to go do that again, right? Because in the center you have Two of Swords. There is that decision-making thing needed, obviously, but there's also the blindfold on. So are you looking at one thing but ignoring another? Are you leaning into something else when it's kind of like you're just doing it to avoid other stuff? So that can be an element with that. Now, just going by rows, we have Chariot, Queen of Cups, Hanged Man. And I like that the Queen of Cups is here and the King of Cups is here, but, and I know I'm jumping ahead. I'm just pointing out who's here. The only thing is that they're not looking at each other. They're kind of looking away. In fact, if you look at all the cards, everything is literally looking away from each other. There's like an avoidance factor. So going back to Chariot, Queen of Cups, Hanged Man. Like I said, things were moving. You might have felt good, like, yes, this is going to be great. And then something kind of made you see something differently, or you had to wait on something. A part of it, an aspect of it wasn't totally cool. But you were like, okay. And I feel like there was a level of like, this is acceptable. We can do this. It's not, that big of a deal. Because then you have Seven of Pentacles, Two of Swords, and then the Page of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles. You're like, okay, I'll wait for this. I'll see what comes out of it. It'll grow. I'm just going to be chill. And in the Two of Swords, it might have, when you kind of sit on something for so long, and I'm not saying it was like forever that something might have had to have a pause, but you kind of lose sight or you kind of lose focus on something. So things might have been not ignored or let go, but you just kind of lose track of things. Things get lost in shuffles, and then you just kind of are like, okay, well, now we kind of have to start off from this Page of Pentacles standpoint, which is, I think, you're not frustrated yet. It's like you're just going with the flow, and you're like, I got it, it's fine, it's great, we can do this. Where the frustration starts kicking in is you have this King of Cups. So you come back, leveled up, you're like, all right, we got this, we're doing it, we have the Magician, like, let's brung it. And then you hit this Three of Swords. So at some point, I feel like you feel like you're trying stuff and you're not getting to where you want to be, and that is what's pissing you off. So there's something, things just kind of keep coming up, like life keeps happening, and you're like, son of a, like, I have all this energy, I have all this mojo, I know that I'm capable of this, or I know that if I can just get a window to make this stuff happen, it'll be the bomb, you know? So, all right, and sometimes I forget to look at the bottom, but this is Nine of Cups, Two of Wands is at the bottom. So what you want is there, and the Two of Wands is the manifestation to be able to, like, yes, we're going to do this. And I like this Two of Wands because there's a key here and there's a lock up here. On each one of the wands, there's a key and a lock. So it's like you got to get those two things to meet. Well, how do you do that? And that can be where you're kind of hitting the frustration point. So we're going to clarify Two of Swords. What's that about? Hierophant. There could be stuff about the process itself that you have to be diligent about, and that could be, you know, the holdups with if there's any kind of paperwork or stuff that you have to do a particular way because there's regulations. Like, hypothetically, say like you're like, I want to get a food truck and that's my dream, and then you're like, oh great, I have to, you know, register to be able to serve food, you know, all that kind of like stuff where it's like you have these wonderful ideas, but the execution is like, man, like I have like all these hoops to jump through. You know, the food truck thing is just like a rando deal. I don't expect anyone out there to be like, yes, I have a food truck. But if you do, let me know, because I love me a good food truck. So going on the Three of Swords, what are we talking about? Eight of Cups. I hate to say this, but you might need to change your tactics. And because you have this Magician energy, you have the King of Cups, you've leveled up, you have all the mojo like at your fingertips, but the execution is what keeps getting kind of jacked. So you have Eight of Cups, Seven of Cups, Knight of Wands. I don't see you getting discouraged. I see you maybe having to dust yourself off. Also, if there's other people involved in it, they could be kind of not letting you down, but not living up to their parts. I always say it's like the worst group project ever. And you're kind of the one who's like, come on guys, like you don't want to be a motivational speaker and have to do all this other stuff. So Page of Pentacles, what's coming out? Eight of Swords. Like I said, it's like there's this start, stop. Give me the Magician. Seven of Swords. So, Ace of Swords. There's this element of, I'm hearing by hook or by crook. You know that old saying where it's like, any which way, it'll happen. It's gonna happen. I would just watch keeping your nose clean in terms of if there is this Hierophant energy that you have to be doing things correctly and you have to be on top of your game, etc. You need to be able to kind of separate the desire to get stuff done with what actually is required. So there is no cutting corners. There is no, you know, like seeing how far you can push something, because the Ace of Swords is there. It's almost like what is done in the dark will come to light. Or potentially you could find out other people are kind of pushing it and you're like, that's not what we agreed upon. That's not what we thought. It doesn't have to be like this incredibly, you know, dramatic, dire thing. But you find out something wasn't what it seemed, something wasn't exactly what it should be. I feel like you get the truth about it, the Ace of Swords, but it kind of puts you back at the Eight of Swords, because you have Eight of Swords here, Eight of Swords here. And it's either the obligations of getting through this stuff, or the feeling of like, oh great, we're back at this again. Like, you know, not necessarily square one. You might be at square like 2, 3, or 4. But you do have to kind of keep adjusting as you go. And I feel like you might need to not scrap, but reevaluate. And I keep saying this is more like a work thing or whatever, but this could be relationships where you feel like you're getting somewhere, and then you're like, oh wait, okay, someone's like, I need space, or someone's like, I need a minute. You know, I have so many obligations with work and family and everything else. And then you're like, okay. And then you get a scrap with this Page of Pentacles, and they keep saying like, okay, well, the Hierophant card, yeah, like, I'll commit, I'm fine, but wait, I have some other stuff I have to do. And then you're kind of just keeping this limbo thing. And then the Magician comes back telling you, hey, you know what, Leo? Like, I have all these plans for us or whatever, and it turns out it's like, you know, they're trying to sell you a bridge. It's like they're, you know, and then you finally look the gift horse in the mouth, and you're like, whoa, that's not exactly what I thought I was getting here. So the Knight of Wands, if this is you, you're still going to find a way. Like, the level of determination is like, you'll be darned if you're going to be taken out or down by anything in particular. So I appreciate that about you. But if we're talking about relationships, the second you walk, the second you know, you're like, does my ass look good as I'm walking away? This person's like, hey, babe, Leo, what's up? I'm so sorry. Like, you know, and potentially you realize you have options. You know, you're like, I don't got to stick around for this. But this person keeps swooping back in. It's the swoop that I hate. The, oh, baby, I'm sorry. Because here's the Five of Pentacles. There could be, you know, if you're going to walk away from something, you do have to leave it in the rearview mirror. There is no, like, visiting. You know, it's, once you put it in the grave, you're not coming back for flowers. You know, you're not, like, going to visit. It's like, once it's done, it's done. So, Hierophant. Nine of Pentacles. I feel like there's a level of independence that you have to assert with this. Six of Swords. A lot of everything is kind of like putting some distance on things. It could be to get perspective. But like I said, if you're going to bury it and, you know, have your funeral, have your mourning time, etc., but you can't keep bringing flowers. Like, there is no, like, we need to put a nice memorial here and blah, blah, blah. It's, no. It's done. If anything, I would leave it unmarked. And be like, I don't even know what this is. So I want to see King of Cups, because he's kind of sticking out. Queen of Pentacles. Nine of Swords. Honestly, I feel like, Leo, you know, the Queen of Pentacles is quite the catch, right? And if we're talking relationships, I get this feeling like, have you been trying to be what this person wants in whatever way? You're like, if I was only this way, if I only did this, if I did that, if I did, you know, if I tweaked this a little bit, maybe I'd be more, not appealing, but like, this is what they want, and this is what they want. And then in that way, you're kind of losing sight of what and who you are and why you showed up in the first place. Because with this Two of Swords, there is decisions. You know, as the center. And it's about doing stuff the right way, moving away from things that aren't working for you with this Six of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. It could be you need to get to somewhere quiet to listen to yourself, to kind of regroup and recalibrate. Because this Page of Pentacles, I feel like, you know, you do keep trying to come out and be like, here you go, here's a nice stable pentacle. And then it's, you know, you're like, I'm trying it this way, trying it that way. So, actually, Hanged Man, I want to see what's about you. Three of Wands. It's like, Three of Wands, manifestation thing, you know, and you know the ships are coming, but there is a waiting aspect. Hanged Man, waiting aspect. Seven of Pentacles, waiting aspect. So if you have to keep moving forward, and it's like start-stop energy, you're just like, you're like, I know it's on the other side. I know it's right over there. Like, let me just get over there. But whatever truth that comes out with this Ace of Swords, I feel like it brings the clarity to the Three of Swords. So I don't think there's like devastation and despair and blah. You know what I mean? Like blah, blah, blah. It's like it's finally the kick in the patootie to, your Six of Swords state. You were like, I need a break. I'm going to go over here into the calmer waters and get perspective. But the Eight of Cups is actually like, all right, we are walking away. Like I said, does my ass look good as I'm walking away? And just watch out for the, oh, baby, I'm sorry. That's kind of what I'm getting on there. Actually, give me one on this Queen of Cups. I'm getting greedy. Queen of Swords. You're trying to be Queen of Cups, but Queen of Swords keeps slipping. It's like those little pings where you know your worth. And you're like, this is not cool. So you ever have those moments where you're like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And then it's just you get hit with this emotion where you're like, oh my God. Like, what? And then you have the Emperor. So Seven of Pentacles with the Emperor. There's an element of trying to take control. But then things kind of keep skirting out. Like, it's like you're trying to pick up wet sand. And you're like trying to mold wet sand. And then it just keeps like, bleh. And I don't think it's, you have the determination there. But it requires you kind of leaving something else behind. Or leaving the old ways of doing things behind. And that could be a person. That could be situations you're putting yourself in. If it is a work type thing, I think you are in the right area. Just the opportunities or the positions that you've been in recently are not it. If that's the case, take what you can learn and run with it and just be like, all right, I'm learning XYZ here, on to the next thing, and just keep building, because those little things that you pick up along the way, they're going to pop up. They're going to be useful. You're not learning this stuff or doing this stuff for like in vain. At some point, your knowledge is going to come into play. You're just waiting for the right things to line up to be able to do that. So I wouldn't get too frustrated because, like I said, everything that's coming together right now is going to play in down the road. Just watch for people who just keep wanting to get what they want to get. Also, I do want to point out with the Seven of Pentacles, the Emperor could be that bossy boots that's like, you know what, I have so much to do. I'm so busy. Or I have to, I have this obligation I have to do. Can you just wait? Can you just, be around for a little bit? When I get a chance. That kind of thing. Like, someone's not valuing your time or your contribution. And you're just like, okay, this is wearing thin. So, we're going over to the Oracle now. There's a lot coming out here. So, we got tree, house, mice, and lightning. Once again, there's this element of you think something has potential. It's got stability. There's a home could be built on this, but with the mice and the lightning, there's like a gnawing aspect where you're like, something's not sitting 100%. So, not waiting for the other shoe to drop necessarily, but there is something that is not washing, and you're like, I don't know about this. And you are watching out for it, because with the shepherd and the ship, this is something you want, but it's taking way longer than what you thought. You're still watching, you're still kind of having this protective stance where you're like, no, this is worth it. It's worth it. So what is the outcome here for Leo? The anchor. You just want to get grounded, or potentially this is the drag that's keeping your ship from going forward, right? So what can we do to get over the drog? You need to stay on track. You have the track, the whip, and the clover. Once you start doing the stuff for yourself, once you start doing things the right way, there is like a Hierophant energy for me with the track. Because, a train has to be on the track. When it's not on the track, you got problems. The whip can be discipline. Sometimes it can mean pettiness, but if you are going to stay on track, I'm not saying someone's going to intentionally come along and try and like to shake you up or keep kind of throwing you off, but once you do start staying on track, it annoys people because they can't keep getting the same stuff out of you. So just watch for those signs with the clover. It's like the short-term wheel of fortune. Watch for the stuff that pops up when you're doing the right stuff for you, and use those as the road signs to be like, yes. You know, like, say you're like doing something for yourself and you run into a friend who's like, hey, let's go do this. Or you take the extra step on a project at work or something, and your boss is like, wow, like, I didn't know you could do that. And then it leads into something else. Like, all those little, like, taps on the shoulder to be like, hey, yo, Leo, you deserve this stuff. So, with the ship, I do want to clarify this guy here. What are we talking? You need to let something kind of end. There's a before and an after with the coffin. How it manifests itself, you don't really know. But like I said, you have all this mojo in escrow that is waiting to be unleashed. And it's like, once you get the opportunity to do it, like, go for it. And I really wouldn't second guess it, where you're just like, whoa, am I going to be too forceful? Is that going to be, am I going to be coming on too strong? Am I going to be oversharing or overstepping my bounds? Like, I wouldn't even worry about it at that point. Like, you just need to get out of your bounds in general. So, like I said, watch for the nudges, watch for the little opportunities that are popping up that kind of are just saying like, yo, Leo, you got this. So, give me a crystal card. That was zeolite. It wanted to go, and that's guidance, consciousness, and direction. But let's like get a committal thing. Leo needs some commitment here. Give me something, cards. You know what? Is it 3? If it's 3, we'll take it. Because you know what? I'm going to point out that you got very dark colored stones, which usually lead to some form of like protection, kind of pushing the envelope vibes. So that's quite the contrast. So we have Boji Stone. I love Boji Stones. Duality, balance, cycle, identity. So you need to balance your masculine and feminine, and then work with the feminine and male energies to see where there are blocks and inequalities. And like I said, it doesn't have to be, you know, masculine, feminine. This is like your yin, your yang, the push, the pull, you know, the in, the out. You know, the duality, you know, are you swinging hard one way to accommodate people when really you feel like you should be going the other way? You know what I mean? So with Moldavite, this is like the papa of change stones. So this is like the kick your butt into high gear mode. So this is grounding, connection, evolution. I don't necessarily get grounding with Moldavite because whenever I've worn it, I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, this was unexpected. So it's asking you to appreciate the good things already in your life and make plans to change what holds you back from fulfilling your intentions. So there's a big, like, kind of clearing the deck that you got going on. Magnesite, catalyst, resistant, and peace. And this one is look carefully at your motivations. Are you standing strongly in your own space, or are you allowing yourself to be affected and influenced by the problems of others? So yeah, if you're accommodating people too much, start accommodating yourself. And like I said, look for those little road signs to be like, you know, like, hey, Leo, pay attention over here. Psst. Like, you know, try this way, try that way, you know, and just keep your eyes peeled. So Leo, that's what I have for you for July, and I'll talk to you later.